Welcome back. This is Twin Tiers Evening News. I'm Alexa Olson. Jeff Angelonis is off for the next 2 weeks. The big story on Twin Tiers Evening News tonight. There's breaking news this morning from the Vatican. The Pope has announced plans to resign from his position as head of the Catholic Church in only 2 weeks. Stacey Cohen has the very latest.
Pope Benedict, who is 85 years old, told the cardinals of the Catholic Church directly that he would be resigning effective 8 p.m. on February 28th. In part of his official statement, the Pope said, "After having repeatedly examined my conscience before God, I have come to the certainty that my strengths, due to an advanced age, are no longer suited to an adequate exercise of the patrine ministry." The last pope to resign was Gregory XII in 1415. He did so to end a civil war within the church in which more than one man claimed to be pope. Pope Benedict was inaugurated as the 265th pope on April 24, 2005. Cardinal Timothy Dolan of New York, appointed to his post by Pope Benedict, said that he was startled by the announcement, but that it caused his admiration of the man to skyrocket.
But I would presume that his esteem for the office as the successor of St. Peter and the chief pastor of the Church Universal, that esteem is so high that in all humility he simply said, "I can't do it anymore."
Cardinal Dolan will be one of the men traveling to Rome in March to select the next pope. The College of Cardinals will hold a conclave, a private meeting during which they will vote on a successor to Pope Benedict. All cardinals under the age of 80 will participate in conclave. A new pope must be elected with 2/3 of the vote. The Vatican is optimistic there will be a new pope in place by Easter. In Washington, I'm Stacey Cohen.
WVTT's Valerie Tysaner got the local reaction to this news. She's live right now in the WVTT Digital Newsroom with the latest.
Alexa, it wasn't just high-ranking officials who were surprised by the Pope's announcement. It was local people who were surprised as well, especially so for one local friar who actually found out the news from his parishioners.
I thought that my parishioners were teasing or had heard, the news report wrong.
After just 8 years in office, Pope Benedict XVI is stepping down.
Well, I guess it's true.
The first to do so in 6 centuries.
He said, well, I guess if I ever got to a point where I felt I couldn't, function, I probably would consider it. Now, that was like a passing statement. And every so often you hear that statement repeated. Well, he did it.
The move taking not just Catholics, but members of all faiths by shock.
Well, I was very surprised when I heard that this morning. It's the first time in 600 years, so it's really an unusual event.
Shocked, but I know he hasn't been in good health, and it's probably a smart move. I'm very anxious to see what's going to happen next.
Some hope future papacy will follow Pope Benedict's lead.
It may set a precedence for the future, which I think would be a good precedence. There comes a point in time where, you just get tired and it's difficult to function. You might still be able to get around, but, the thinking processes, the, focus processes, just because of the aging factor. It's time to say, it's time to let go.
And of course, as there is with anything of this magnitude, there's already a lot of speculation as to who will be elected to take Pope Benedict's place. But when the people I spoke to said they have no idea who it will be, and only time will tell. In the WVTT Digital Newsroom, I'm Valerie Tysaner. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Valerie. Now, what's your stance on this issue? Go to our Facebook page to join the conversation. That's facebook.com/WVTT News. A Sayo meat processor could face up to 1 year in federal prison and a $100,000 fine over alleged poor food safety. 37-year-old Keith Middaugh pleaded guilty Friday to a misdemeanor charge of violating the Federal Meat Inspection Act. Middaugh was charged last March with the crime as well as making false statements to authorities and failing to register with the U.S. Department of Agriculture to handle dead, dying, diseased, or disabled animals. His sentencing will be May 9th in Buffalo. A pedestrian was injured after being struck by a vehicle in the intersection of Berry and East State Streets in Olean. 56-year-old Sandra Sweet was taken to Olean General Hospital after being hit by a vehicle driven by Kathleen Smasinski O'Brien. The driver was cited for failing to yield to a pedestrian. A McKean County crash claimed the life of an 8-year-old boy. Police say 20-year-old Tyler Ramo lost control of his Suburban on East Valley Road in Keating Township, crashing head-on into a Chevy Tracker driven by 29-year-old Stephen Mel. Mel, Ramo, and the child were taken to the hospital where the boy was pronounced dead. Mel was then transported to a trauma center. A Dansville police officer suffered a concussion over the weekend after a teenager who was allegedly on bath salts punched the officer in the head. At around 2:15 in the morning on Sunday, New York State Police and Dansville Police were dispatched to a parking lot at a truck stop off of I-390 in Dansville, where a 15-year-old was allegedly involved in a domestic dispute with a woman authorities are identifying as his aunt. Now, according to police, the juvenile was allegedly biting and hitting the female victim. After being taken to the hospital, it was determined the 15-year-old had taken bath salts, which was the cause of the violent behavior. An investigation is continuing and charges are pending. A body found at the bottom of a ravine in an upstate New York park is that of 73-year-old college professor who police believe was shot and killed in a robbery. Rochester police say they have a person of interest in custody in the death of Adeline Chun. The Rochester Institute of Technology says Chun taught in the College of Imaging Arts and Sciences for nearly 20 years. A Monroe County maintenance worker found her body Wednesday afternoon in Tyrone Park, which lies just on Rochester's eastern city limits. According to authorities, Chun's vehicle had been stolen before her death, but are saying it's unclear where she was killed and when. Police haven't released the name of the person in interest. Rochester police are asking if anyone has information regarding the incident to contact them immediately. Hundreds of pounds of marijuana were found after an investigation revealed a major ring in the marijuana drug trafficking in Rochester. 2 men were arrested. Calvin Bennett from the Bronx and Rederick Johnson of Rochester were charged with criminal possession of marijuana in the first degree. At the time of their arrest, Bennett and Johnson were found in possession of a container that held a few pieces of office furniture and 9 cardboard boxes. Now, each box contained a large wrapped bale of marijuana that weighed approximately 50 pounds for a total of 450 pounds of marijuana. Both men were arraigned in town of Clarendon Court and remain in the Orleans County Jail in lieu of $200,000 cash bail. Olean residents will get their first glimpse of the redesign of North Union Street this week. The public is invited to attend a meeting on Wednesday night where representatives from Hatchmont McDonald will unveil their proposed design options. That meeting will be held from 6 to 8 p.m. at John Ash Community Center. Textbooks will soon be a thing of the past for a local school district. Portville Central School will soon be handing out laptops for all high schoolers in order to save money on textbooks and millions of photocopies. Now, the district has chosen a Dell laptop that will be set up in a charging station. District Superintendent Thomas Simon said the school is trying to work out a phase-in program to start with incoming freshmen. Over the weekend, U.S. Senator Charles Schumer revealed that FEMA has completed the final steps to deliver a $1.3 million in much-needed funding for the village of Gowanda. Now, this comes after continued pressure from Schumer, including several personal phone calls to FEMA and multiple letters to FEMA administrators to swiftly reimburse the village for short-term bond that was utilized to pay for the recovery projects after the region's devastating flooding in 2009. Now, after that flood, the village took out a $5 million bond $5 million bond anticipation note known as BAN to cover the cost of approximately 70 repair projects. This reimbursement covers 6 of the remaining projects and will pay for the majority of the outstanding BAN. When President Barack Obama was first elected 8 years ago, his campaign push was for hope. The U.S. Congressman Tom Reed says that's what he's running out of when it comes to Obama's policies regarding the nation's economy. He says Obama's State of the Union speech tomorrow would be the perfect opportunity for the president to address fiscal spending issues in such a way that would allow both parties to join hands and work on the issues, but he's not convinced that second-term president will do what he called the right thing.
Being there at the inauguration speech, I don't know if the president will go down that path. What I probably am likely to hear is that the Democrats will continue their commitment to raising taxes as a solution to this problem. And to me, we can do it in a better way. We've already dealt with the tax question at the end of 2012. Now the president and the Senate Democrats are renewing their calls for higher taxes. But what I think we should be doing is acknowledging that we have a spending-driven problem in Washington, D.C. We need to reform and cut our federal spending problem and then grow the economy by creating an American competitive market that gives people back to work.
Stay tuned. More Twin Tiers Evening News coming up right after this.